Welcome to Scream Creeps, the podcast where we delve into the darkest depths of horror cinema to uncover the spine-chilling tales that haunt our dreams. I'm your host, Jeremy, and I'm here again with my brothers, Aaron and Josh. And in today's episode, we'll be exploring the terrifying world of The Ring. Ranked as the 11th scariest movie according to Science back in 2020, The Ring has captivated audiences with its bone-chilling storyline and unnerving atmosphere. So grab your blankets, turn down the lights, and prepare yourself for a journey into the macabre as we unravel the mysteries behind the iconic horror film. Welcome to the nightmare of Scream Creeps. I tried to do it a little bit differently this time for everybody listening. I know Aaron always laughs when I do these intros, but
no, that was good.
But
that was good. It got me riveted. I'm like,
yeah. So with that being said, The Ring is a 2002 American psychological supernatural horror film directed by Gore Verbinski and written by Aaron Kruger, and stars Naomi Watts, Martin Henderson, David Dorfman, Jane Alexander, and Brian Cox. It's a remake of Hideo Nakata's 1998 film of basically the same name, except it doesn't start with the. It's just called The Ring. But it's based on a 1991 novel by Koji Suzuki. Watts plays Rachel Keller, a journalist who discovers a cursed videotape that kills the viewer 7 days after viewing it. The movie was released by DreamWorks Pictures on October 18th, 2002. And at the time, it received mixed to positive reviews. With critics in particular praising the atmosphere and the visuals of the film. Bojan Bazeli, that's a hard name to say, did the cinematography for the film. And they also praised Naomi Watts' performance in the film and the direction by Verbinski. It was a box office success. It grossed $249 million on a budget of $48 million. Making it one of the highest grossing horror remakes of all time. It was followed up by The Ring 2 in 2005 and Rings in 2017. And it has inspired American remakes of several other Asian and Japanese horror films, including The Grudge, which we talked about on this podcast a while back. As it was, I don't remember what number it was, but it was also on the list of scariest movies. According to Science.
It was 29 or 28 or something like that, I think.
And then the other one being Dark Water, which came out in 2005. With that being said, we can go ahead and get started on what we thought of the film watching it again. I don't know. I don't think it was the first time for anybody on here seeing it. So, unlike the previous couple.
It's been so long since I've seen it.
Yeah.
It was my favorite Naomi Watts movie. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the first ones I saw of her, and I liked her in that.
Well, I want to say it might have been her first. It wasn't her first one.
No, it wasn't her first film, but it was her first, big one. Yeah,
because I would think, well, the one I know is Mulholland Drive that came out the year before this one.
She was
That's
in that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even
Which I never watched that anyway.
Yeah,
I heard that it was a weird movie. I think it's the same dude that did Twin Peaks did that or something like that. Something similar to it, I think.
David Lynch.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of David Lynch's shit. So
funny thing is, I always thought she was Australian, but she's actually English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She was born in Shoreham, Kent, in England. Which I didn't know him. I didn't know that. I always thought she was Australian for some reason.
Well, I think she was in the movie Australia, right? I think. I don't know.
Maybe. I know. I remember.
I could be wrong, but
besides that, I remember being in King Kong. That was the other one.
That was the other one, yeah.
But yeah, I mean. I'm trying to think. Gore Verbinski, if you recall, I think he's done a lot of movies most people remember. I think he did the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Oh, okay. So I knew that I heard the name. I just couldn't remember what other movies that he's done.
And he also did
Couldn't-
Rango, the animated one about the lizard or the chameleon
okay.
or whatever.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
A lot
So-
of information.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I had to look him up because for some reason I think I get him confused with the one that directed Total Recall and RoboCop.
Uh,
The
Oh,
names
yeah.
are very similar. It's Paul Verhoeven, I think, is his name. For some reason, I get those two mixed up. It's almost like, do you know? Let's see, Dylan McDermott and
Yeah.
Dermot
Yeah.
Mulroney. I always get those two
Dermot
mixed up.
I
Mulroney.
mean, I
Yeah.
understand that. They look similar.
Yeah.
It's like there's always certain actors where you sit there and you're like, okay, they look similar, even though they're two totally different people. It's like
Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis and what's his name? The dude that's in The Office. Damn it, I can't think of his name.
Oh,
whatever.
The one that played Jim?
No.
No.
Oh.
I'm talking about the one that played Andy.
Oh,
Yeah.
The
Him,
dude
yeah.
from Hangover.
Hangover.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Anyway, none of these people are in the ring, so
No,
Yeah, yeah.
we are getting way off topic here. So I'll go ahead and say my opinion on the ring. I haven't watched it since the first year that it came out. I never watched it again. I don't remember enjoying it back then, but rewatching it,
Mm-hmm.
I actually really liked it. I was surprised because the storytelling in it was actually good. It starts out, of course, like similarly to Scream, right? To where it
I was
has
thinking
to
that
have
too.
the opening act is someone dying because of what's happening, right? To build the story. But the way that the story played out and little idiosyncrasies within it, like was just cool. For instance, Naomi Watts and the guy, I forget what his name is in the movie.
Noah?
Noah. Yeah. Well, what's her name though?
Rachel?
All right, so yeah. Rachel and Noah, they obviously know each other and stuff like that, but you don't know what their relationship is. She's at his apartment, and then another chick comes in. He's obviously flirting and stuff like that, and you just don't know the relationship. And then the girl that comes in, she's unexpected, and she reacts in a weird way. Rachel's character does. And she abruptly leaves because seeing this person that kissed him on the cheek. I was like, what the hell is with that? And then later on in the movie, you get this moment where she talks about her son watching the tape, and then she says, our son. And then immediately you're just like, all right, that's why she acted that way. I was wondering why. So they obviously, had a relationship that deep. So she roped him into watching this video with no renown. Is that the right word?
What word did you use? I couldn't really.
Renown.
I don't think that's the right one.
I don't think so.
No regret on letting him watch this movie because she doesn't really believe it.
Mm-hmm.
She got that dude killed.
Yeah.
She got Noah killed. What a bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just little things like that you catch, and it was really a hint to how good the storytelling was.
Yeah.
So the little kid I really liked in it. I'm surprised that he didn't do more after this film. He might have. I just never noticed anything.
He was in a few. Yeah, he was in a few horror movies. So he was in the sequel, The Ring 2, and then he was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I guess the one that was made in the one that was made in 2003.
Yeah,
with Jessica Biel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Okay, so he did do other stuff. I just didn't notice.
Yeah, but he's retired now. I think the last thing he did was Drill Bit Taylor with
okay. With Owen, no.
with
No,
Owen. No,
Oh,
it was Owen
Owen
Wilson.
Wilson.
Yeah,
Owen Wilson. Yeah.
yeah. So
But-
that was the last thing he did back in 2008. He's an attorney now, though. So
Wow.
Interesting.
he worked in the U.S. House of Representatives. He served as legislative director and general counsel to the Energy and Commerce Committee's vice chair, and the Homeland
Lord.
Security Committee's Cybersecurity
Yeah,
Subcommittee.
He's in
Emeritus.
politics and shit, and then everybody's asking him, "Wait, you look really
Hey,
familiar."
7 days? No.
Yeah.
Where do I know?
Well, it's crazy because he's only 31. So to do all of that
Yeah.
already,
Yeah.
is pretty
That's
up
cool.
there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So,
and
honestly, though, with how much was in this, I wouldn't put this. It has to be in this genre because there wouldn't be any other one that could be part of. But I wouldn't consider this a quote unquote scary movie, though. It wasn't really scary.
Yeah, it's not really that scary. I think that really the scariness to me is like the watching of the tape, really. But I mean, it's mostly because it's so weird and creepy the whole time. But I mean,
Really,
that's why I say, yeah, it's not even that I think it's just something that makes you feel unnerved, I guess. Probably. And that's probably why it was so high on the list, too, was because it was like, especially at the time, I don't think there was anything that came out that was similar to it. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, like
different.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like the story, like The Grudge is the only closest thing that you could consider.
Yeah, but that's because
Being
it's
kind of the
also
same, but it's
Japanese.
mostly because they're both Japanese-based films. So like, it's just like hard to judge it. So like, I mean, I think that's why it did so well too.
The antagonist in both stories are very similar with these black hair combed over the face, and it's just kind of like, what's the difference between these two things? They're just ambient spirits wandering around.
Yeah, like I watched a video where they were talking about that she was like, she had Samara, like had psychic powers and psychokinetic powers, where that's how she was able to like put her stuff into videotapes, because it talks about like all of them, like both movies and the book, where generally in the book it's more about a version of smallpox that it gets transferred around psychically to other people, and that's what the virus part of it is, like how they kill people, which seems, it kind of makes sense why in the movies they didn't do that. And they just stuck to a chick that was killing people. Yeah, it was like, I mean, it was kind of cool knowing that they talked about it that way when I started watching it. So it's cool little information, but it makes sense why in the movies they didn't go that route. Like, because in the Japanese film, they show it like a family, like generally the same kind of thing with this, but like the chick wasn't a reporter, and then it was about their family, like somebody in their family, like a version of Samara was like in their family, and that's how it was getting around. And it wasn't with a videotape how it was getting transferred, I guess. So, like, it kind of makes sense why they did with the US version, they went a different route. And I think I want to watch the other one just to see if I like the other one good, like a lot too. But I mean, I don't remember when I first watched this. I think this was when when I first started working at the movie theater. It was one of the first movies on there, so I watched it a few times beforehand. So like, it was just different. Like even how like the reporter goes through everything, like trying to figure out what's happening with this chick. So
That's actually one thing another thing I really liked about the movie is that it showed her whole process for, she's an investigative journalist, so she would know what to do in that instance. Looking up old newspapers and everything else, man, that would be.
Well, yeah, and I tend to find with me watching movies now, I'm noticing that. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm older or what, but I'm fairly logical in what I watch. So I think those are the ones that I like the most, are the ones that make sense of the things that they would be doing. I think I've mentioned it in previous podcasts. Like, I enjoy the movies where instead of the tropey ones. So, like in this one,
There's
like
a
you
lot of
said,
realism in it and stuff.
yeah, like you doing what you're expecting to do in that situation. Like if she was coming across that, she would in real life, people wouldn't believe that was going to be a thing. If they saw a video, they wouldn't believe it. But when you start going through things like that, you're going to start believing them. And with her having the job she had, she's going to be doing things a certain way. And, so that I agree there with that. And one thing I did want to point out, though, is that the movie, when it was being produced, it actually went into production without a completed script. So the one that wrote the screenplay, Aaron Kruger, he wrote 3 drafts of the screenplay before Scott Frank came on to do an uncredited rewrite of it. So, and Gore Verbinski was actually inspired to do the film because Walter F. Parks sent him a VHS copy of the movie. So Walter F. Parks did, as a producer, he did Men in Black and Minority Report and stuff like that, and he's the co-founder of Dreamscape Immersive.
Mm-hmm.
So it was described to him as a certain way. So after that, that's when it was decided to actually do the movie.
Interesting.
And several high-profile actresses were actually considered for the role that Naomi Watts got. So Gwyneth Paltrow, Jennifer Connelly, and Kate Beckinsale were all up for the role that she got. But Verbinski didn't really want to cast big stars as he wanted the film to be discovered.
Yeah. I'd say that was a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Shadowed the actual film, seeing one of those actresses as the role.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you want to highlight the film, not the actor.
Yeah, and the other interesting part is it was filmed in 2001, primarily, basically right where I live. So it was in locations of Seattle, Port Townsend, Whidbey Island, Bellingham, Monroe, and Stanwood, which is right around where I live. It's basically encapsulates right around me. But the other thing I found interesting was Chris Cooper played a murderer in 2 scenes that were meant to book in the film, but they cut it. So I'd be interested to see how I can see why it was cut based on what we watched, because I'm like, how would that have?
Yeah, how would
have
went in?
Yeah.
To it.
Where all
he's basically a really good character actor, but he's been in a lot of. I can't really. Born Identity, A Time to Kill. I'm trying to think.
Well, no. I meant
what you would.
The character he was playing. Were all of his scenes cut? Because I don't remember.
Yeah, they all were. Yeah, he was a child murderer, and the whole thing was cut from the movie. So I don't know exactly why
to change the story then. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, it's
the only way
so.
I've seen that working is if the mom didn't kill.
Yeah, I guess that would have been the
whatever.
Probably the response, right? Is that he would have killed Samara versus the mom. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I mean,
but the movie came out 20 years ago, so
that's with all these, man.
But if you haven't watched it now, just just watch it anyway.
Rewatch it.
Yeah. Same here. I own the film. I don't own it. I don't think I own any of the other ones, but I
Yeah,
do
I'm
own
pretty
this one.
sure. I think I own it. I just can't
Uh,
remember if I do.
and
I would have to
but
look through all of my movies.
with that, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go over the stats for this one, like we do every other podcast where we're talking about the scariest movies. So, as we've said before, the average resting heart rate for everybody that would participate in the study was 65 beats per minute. The average movie heart rate for this film was 79 beats per minute, so it was 1 beat higher than A Quiet Place that we talked about last week. But the peak was actually lower than Quiet Place, so it was actually 107 beats per minute. So that's the overall difference is 14. I'm thinking, and we'll talk about it next time, but I think there might be an error in what they did here. But but in terms of when we talk about the visit in the next episode, but so that's where it fell into 11th. Was the average movie heart rate was 1 heartbeat per minute higher than 12 or 13 was, because those both were 78 beats per minute. So it kind of correlates with what you were saying, Aaron, in that it wasn't as scary, even though overall the heart rate was higher. This got the results kind of correlate with that, and that even people watching it weren't as, because the spike for Quiet Place was 122, if you remember, for that movie. So anyhow, but so does that kind of correlate with your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, I know you probably weren't expecting it to be 79, but
yeah. I mean, it's just kind of weird how they would say that, and then it's just like a quiet.
Well, remember, it's the average. I think it goes with the average, and what puts it in the place of that average, it looks like, is that the highest spike. So, like, Nightmare on Elm Street and Quiet Place both came in with an average of 78, but the highest spike for Nightmare on Elm Street was 104, and Quiet Place was 122. So that's why it was 12th versus 13th.
Yeah.
But The Ring was 79 beats per minute. So it was higher than both of those, just because the average was higher.
So they just went up. You know, there was higher 1 beat a minute, and they were like, okay, you move on.
But
I don't
know if I
that. No, I couldn't put them in the same category.
What?
I was gonna say, I would say they're all around better movie. It's a better story, not an all around better movie. Because Nightmare on Elm Street, you know how I feel about that.
Yeah,
but they're completely different genres, so you can't really.
Yeah.
People ask me all. Let me ask you, what's your favorite movie? I can't, for the life of me, give an answer. I'm like, look, we have to base this on genre, because you can't say that this movie, this romance film, is better than this docudrama. Like, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally different. They invoke totally different emotional responses and feelings and everything else. So it's like, whenever they pick like best film of the year, it's like, from what lens are you looking at that? Just overall, how much money it made, how the story was written, all these things. Like, some, just leaps and bounds are the best one that year. You just know. Everyone likes it all around. But it's like, when it's close, it's fucking toss up. So, every single time. So it's anyway, I'm going off on that.
No, I totally agree, because I mean, from my standpoint, my number one has been for years was Hoosiers. It's like my favorite movie of all time. That's
always the one that you always go to.
I can watch anytime that's on, but the Rocky movies aren't far behind that. So it's like, I'm probably more sports based in my liking than others, right? So, but do I have other movies that are up there? Yeah, but I can definitively, from my standpoint, say Hoosiers is my all-time favorite. I can watch that one over and over again. But there's a lot of people out there that they didn't like the movie. So it's like, but I think it all boils down to your loves and stuff like that too. What hits your feels, like you were
Like to
saying,
me,
Aaron.
it's hard. It's hard for me to lower down to like my favorite, just because there's so many
I mean, our
that I
dad's
just
favorite
really
movie.
love.
Yeah,
So
our
it's
dad.
like to fight for them.
Yeah, our dad's favorite movie for years was Field of Dreams. I remember he used to talk
Yeah.
about that one, and that one was one that but that was also many years ago. So there might be a different one now that he would consider his favorite.
Sap he is.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams. Okay.
But the funny thing is once you have kids, that movie hits me different now than it used to.
Oh,
like now that I've got kids, it really hits me harder now than it ever did. Yeah. But there's a lot of movies that do, like anything that has a father-son relationship or father-daughter thing, I get emotional almost every one of those movies for some reason. That makes sense. My life is different than it was, when I was a kid. I have more things to worry about, I guess. But I've always been a family person, so but I don't know if I have anything else to say about this movie.
Just check it out if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, I highly suggest the movie. I don't even know if I've ever seen the sequels, like the Ring 2 or even.
I heard that Rings was decent, but I don't know about Ring 2. I just didn't. I don't know why. I just never. I think it was maybe because it wasn't really in theaters, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I just never felt the need to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with that one being said, so next week we'll be talking about, at number 10, we'll be talking about the movie The Visit, which this is the one I think out of the entire list, I'm actually surprised is this high.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that as well.
But for everybody that's listening, check it out next week and you'll see what we actually think about it in total. But that's my sneak preview of my thoughts. But I guys hope you enjoyed. If you guys made it all the way to the end of the podcast, I hope you enjoyed the entirety. And if you guys haven't already liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, just click that button down below and then hit that bell so you get notified when our new videos come out. We've got a ton of content coming out, not just podcasts now. I'm starting to do Let's Plays. Aaron's already doing his random reacts. He'll probably
need to start back. I haven't started it back since I've been back.
Yep. And then so we'll have other stuff coming out as well. So for all of us here at the Heart of Geek, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And right here at the bottom, you'll see a recommended video for you guys based on watching this one. But I hope you guys enjoy. Or for Jeremy, I did it again. For Aaron and Josh, I'm Jeremy, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Love you, bye.